Hey folks, Matt Easton here, Schola Gladiatoria. So a super quick and simple video, but I've noticed that lots of people when talking about historical periods, particularly when it's older historical periods, get a little bit confused about centuries. Now, for example, I noticed that in some countries it is a convention to refer to the 1400s or the 1500s or the 1600s. In English, certainly in Britain, America, Canada, Australia, etc., it is pretty much convention to refer to the something century. So, for example, the 19th century, the 18th century, the 17th century. And I think what certainly I would say 90–95% of you get this and understand this, but there's a small percentage, and hopefully this will help clean up that final 5%. Don't necessarily realise what the centuries refer to. So let's say 14th century. The 14th century refers to 1301 to 1400. Okay, why is that the 14th century? Well, let's go back to 0 AD. Okay, so in 0 AD, let's say it's 5 years after Anno Domini. Okay, so we're in 5 AD. Which century would that be? Is it the 9th century? No, it's the 1st century, because we're within the 1st century. So if the 1st century is from 0 to 100, essentially, so 0 to 100 is the 1st century. So if 0 to 100 is the 1st century, 101 to 200 is the 2nd century. Okay, and it just goes like that. So it's extremely simple, but I know that it's something that particularly kids in school, if they're not specifically taught this, don't always realise that. They think 14th century must be the 1400s. And it's easy to confuse for example, let's use 1400s with 14th century. They're not the same thing. The 14th century is the 1300s, okay? So there we go. Hopefully blindingly obvious to 9 out of 10 of you, but it might be useful to the rest. So there we go. Cheers, folks. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. We have extra videos on Patreon and you can follow us on Facebook.